Spectacle since it began. We now cross to our reporter Patricia Visagie.
And welcome. Well, good morning and welcome once again to the Waterkloof Air Force Base, where we are today on the third leg of the Africa Aerospace and Defence exhibition that is taking place here in Pretoria. Now, it is Africa's premier defence and aerospace exhibition that, of course, draws and attracts hundreds of exhibitors from across the continent and the rest of the globe who are convening here for this week to, of course, unlock Africa's aerospace and defence potential, as a lot of trade partners are coming together here to also talk about, of course, the economic opportunities that are embedded in this particular exhibition that is taking place. So speaking to us today about what we can expect for the rest of the day and this coming weekend, when we will be having a massive air show where the public will also be welcome, especially the little kids who will, of course, enjoy the aviation shows that will be taking place here at the Waterkloof Air Force Base. So I'm joined by the Executive Director of the South African Aerospace and Maritime and Defence Industries Association, and that is Mr. Simphiwe Hamilton. Thank you so much for joining us. It is a cold day here in the capital city, but it is business as usual, and we can hear the sound of those big machines roaring in the skies outside. Just in short, today it's the third day. More or less, what can we expect?
Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. Today is the third day, so we will be winding off the trade part of the visit. So it's the last day that trade visitors are coming in. Preparations are afoot for the public day. Later on today, we expect to have a final walkabout, potentially by the president or the minister, depending on their availability, to view the stands and see what else has been done. But we are sitting at the moment with no less than R1 billion of transactions already signed by some of our companies, and we're looking forward to the conclusion of a few more of those.
And that is the focus this year. It's the economic benefit that this particular exhibition actually gives to the country and the continent at large.
It is indeed. This industry generates no less than 20 billion rands per annum, of which more than 60% is exported. So we're looking at about 12 to 13 billion rands that is exported. And from a revenue point of view, at a time when the fiscus and the economy are depressed, I think we need an industry like this to continue to export, to grow the economy, contribute to the job. So the economic benefits hereof, and I do not think are fully understood as yet within our economic and political environment.
It's also about exchanging ideas. That's why we're not only limiting it to the continent, we're also bringing the rest of the globe on board to be part of the exhibition, to exchange that innovation knowledge, the technological ideas that are brought to the fore. Is there perhaps an indication of what are some of the new technologies that South Africa is borrowing from the international community?
Well, it's not so much borrowing. We are leaders in our own right. So as we walk and enter into the era of the fourth industrial revolution, this country is amongst pioneers. We already have an AeroSwift machine that has been designed by CSIR, and already we've had components and parts printed on an additive manufacturing basis, or 3D printing. So you will see in the near future products that will come off the shelf using part of those technologies. And we've got as well taking place in the youth program, an augmented or virtual reality program, where we are beginning to teach young people how to use some of these technologies in the design, development and manufacturing of the defense equipment that we sell outside as well as in South Africa.
Talking about the young people, we're expecting about 5,000 youngsters, youth that are participating in the activity this week here, and exactly what is it that they will be doing, that they will be learning and taking from the 2018 AAD?
So the youth program takes place in two parts. As we are having the trade days, the 3 days, that is a focused, oriented and structured exposure for young people. In those 3 days, we will have about 2,500 young people put through a very structured program where they go on to a flying simulator, they have a talk about careers, they get to see how an aircraft engine works, they get to see about 15 different activities where they are shown defense technology. Robotics is one of the key areas that they will be shown as well. And then on the 2 days, the Saturday and the Sunday, the parents bring their children and they too go through exactly the same program but on a probably less structured basis. So what you will then see is we are expecting on the Saturday and the Sunday individually anything between 30 and 40,000 people per day, which means if a parent brings 2 children, you're probably going to have about 15,000 children over the 2 days that will see that. So I'm comfortable that we will reach at least 15,000 young people that will get to see and experience aviation, aerospace and defense technologies over the 5 days.
Now, 2 years ago, 2016, when we also gathered here to have the AAD, then we saw a lot of youngsters also being invited, also being part of this particular event. Any indication of perhaps in the past 2 years how many youths were absorbed through some of the initiatives that were exhibited here, perhaps job creation, bursaries and so forth? Is there any indication?
So we're working now on institutionalizing the youth program to be more than just a show or part of the show. Currently it is over the 5 days. We now want it to stretch over even into the intervening year. We are looking for like-minded partners and sponsors who are going to work with us to make this program not just about the 5 days that they are here. Currently, we're hoping to get 10 young people sponsored to study in Hungary in degrees that are associated with aerospace and defense. We currently have a young man from Soshanguve who we've assisted to get a sponsorship. He's studying at Wits, doing his aeronautics degree there. And slowly we are going to get in young people sponsored and given bursaries into the system. Some of them end up joining the National Defense Force. Some of them are studying, as we are saying. So it's currently not very well structured, but we will get to that point.
Let's talk about the other concern, Denel. It is something that we're all watching very closely. It is raising much concern in terms of the financial struggles that Denel is facing currently. This exhibition, how does it help an organization such as Denel to get out of that financial crisis?
You know, there's an old adage that a man who wants to save time and stops a watch will not succeed. You can't stop the watch to save time. You also cannot ensure that a company succeeds by stopping marketing. Denel has to continue to market. It is a global player. It is amongst the top 100 companies in the defense and aerospace environment in the world. Now, there are clients here from no less than 60 countries whose presence here are also looking for Denel. If they do not find Denel here, they will be asking themselves, is this entity sustainable? Is it going to be here tomorrow? And so it's important that all these companies that are here continue to participate, to profile themselves. The government is working quite hard along with industry to make sure that Denel does not collapse. They've received the guarantees that they require. Those guarantees have been taken up by the markets, and at a later stage we're potentially hoping for a recapitalization that would then ensure that the liquidity is restored. However, Denel has a solid order book and they are delivering to their clients and will continue to in a probably limited basis until that recapitalization comes through.
But we can't deny the fact that Denel is on the brink of bankruptcy. Can we perhaps highlight what are some of the things that went wrong?
That has been averted. The guarantees that have been extended and the uptake of those to refinance the debt has by now averted that possible collapse. The recapitalization will enable the resumption of operations at an optimal level at this stage. Now, some of the things that may have went wrong include, amongst others, governance, probably overreach by the previous board into the operations of the company, as well as potentially suboptimal decisions that were made in some of the contracts that may have been entered into. But I think the current board is working quite hard to resolve those issues. And I think you will realize that the Denel audit will be completed and submitted to the Auditor General on a much more confidential basis than what the previous cycle was.
Some of the allegations that we have read in reports in the public space, social media and so forth, that actually indicates that Denel faces the crisis that it is facing right now as a result of political interference, maladministration and corruption. To what extent did those ills play a role to this particular crisis?
I think we should allow the State Capture Commission to unearth whatever may have happened in that environment. And I think it would be speculative and premature to be speculating on those at this stage. What is important here is that we've reached a stage where the executive has been reformulated. You've got a new board in place, and slowly government has taken the position to assess that, recapitalize it, as I've said, and make sure that it is financially on a solid footing at this stage.
So clearly, Denel remains a sensitive matter. But let's talk about the weekend. Tomorrow, the public can join the 2018 AAD. As you said, today is the last leg of the trade days. What can the public expect for the average South African that's sitting at home that would love to come to the air show tomorrow and Sunday? Just in short, what are the rules, prices? What are the prices for children? Because that's actually one of the questions that a lot of people ask. They want to bring their children. So on a positive note, what can South Africans expect?
I think we've always put up a brilliant show. Entry via the CompuTicket, you can get the adults tickets, I think at about 150 rands and about 75 for children. Children under 5 come in for free. And the Air Force will be putting up a great display that includes demonstrations of either extractions in hostage situations. We'll have some grand finale, which is a military tattoo that we hope will draw the public as well from an interest point of view, as well as many other commercial and UAV demonstrations that will take place. We also have a landwards demonstration on the mobility track, on the tanks and the heavy vehicle side. And then we have basically all the activities that the public has become accustomed to and have come to appreciate, and have a family outing day out. All we are hoping for is good weather so that we may have a good day in the sun.
I remember in 2018, the last day had to be cut short because the rain.
It was a bit cold. And I'm hoping that today is replacing one of the 2 days that would have been cold tomorrow or Sunday.
Okay, so good news for the public. From tomorrow, you can join the 2018 AAD that will be, of course, bringing you an aviation extravaganza here at Waterkloof Air Force Base. You heard that, of course, you can bring your children. It is a family affair, usually. So if you have nothing to do this weekend, please do make sure that you come and join the air show that will be unfolding here at Waterkloof here in Pretoria. They expect over 80,000 people, so make sure that you are here early so that you don't sit in traffic and we can avoid the stampedes, or rather the bottlenecks that we see at the gate. So be here early, bring the children. It is going to be a beautiful weekend, and normally the highlights are always the Gripen and of course the Rooivalk, one of South Africa's premier fighter helicopters. Always a highlight for the public that is here. So it's going to be a highlight of the weekend, that beautiful air show that will be entertaining South Africans here. So do join us this weekend. For now, let's give it back to you in studio.